All right, let's get ready to dive deep, and I mean really deep. Today we're going cellular, exploring these tiny powerhouses you may have heard of called mitochondria. We'll be unpacking some key insights from Optimized Metabolism, a guide to enhancing mitochondrial function. And you guys are definitely interested in optimizing your metabolism, so buckle up because we're about to learn how these little guys impact everything from weight management to how we age. And I've got to say, some of this stuff is pretty wild.
Wild is a good word for it. We often hear mitochondria called the powerhouses of the cell, and that's true. But there's so much more than just energy converters.
Okay, so at a basic level, what exactly are mitochondria and why should we care about them so much?
You can imagine them like intricate networks within our cells, constantly working to take the food we eat and transform that food into usable energy. That's ATP. But here's where it gets really interesting. This book, Optimized Metabolism, it dives into how mitochondria are also key players in detoxification, signaling our hormones, and even repairing our cells.
So they're like the ultimate multitaskers, keeping our bodies running smoothly. I'm starting to see why we need to keep them happy.
Exactly. And one of the key points the book emphasizes is that mitochondrial function isn't static. It's constantly being influenced by our lifestyle choices. And this goes both ways, positively and negatively.
That makes total sense. I've always kind of wondered about this. Why does it seem like our metabolism just slows down as we get older? Is that actually connected to our mitochondria, or is that just something that inevitably happens as we age?
It's definitely connected. The book points out that as we age, our bodies just naturally produce fewer mitochondria. And the ones we do have, they become less efficient. It's like anything else. With time, things start to wear down a bit.
Okay, I see. That's kind of disheartening. But the book is all about optimizing metabolism, so I'm assuming it doesn't just leave us with that bit of bad news. What does it say about counteracting this whole decline?
That's where it gets exciting. The book takes a deep dive into how we can support our mitochondria, even as we age, through some targeted strategies. And it really emphasizes that we have more control over our metabolic health than we might think.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's talk about those strategies. What are some of the biggest culprits when it comes to damaging our mitochondria?
The book lays out several key factors. Let's start with the usual suspects: poor diet, lack of exercise, and chronic stress. But it also digs into some things like environmental factors and exposure to toxins.
So basically, all the things we already know are bad for us in general are also wreaking havoc on our mitochondria. What about specifics? What kind of diet is particularly harmful?
Think about sugar overload, processed foods, and those unhealthy fats. They don't just impact your waistline, they actively contribute to the mitochondrial dysfunction.
So we're talking more than just empty calories. These foods are actually hindering those essential cellular processes. That's pretty eye-opening. What about the toxins the book mentions?
That's where it gets a bit scary. The book cites studies highlighting how exposure to pesticides and heavy metals can actually damage mitochondrial DNA. So it's not just about what we're putting in our bodies, it's also what we're exposed to in our environment.
Okay, now I'm starting to feel a little guilty about that fast food burger I had yesterday. But what about stress? We've all experienced it, but how does that actually affect those tiny powerhouses?
The book makes a strong connection between chronic stress and depleted mitochondrial function. Basically, it explains how high levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, disrupt those essential energy production pathways.
So stressing less is actually good for our cells. I knew there was a reason I love those yoga classes. But I have to ask, what about those of us who haven't quite embraced the active lifestyle? What does the book say about being sedentary?
Well, the book is pretty clear that a sedentary lifestyle is detrimental to mitochondrial health. It highlights how regular movement is crucial. And it's not just for maintaining the number of mitochondria we have, but also making sure they're functioning efficiently.
All right, that's enough doom and gloom. I think we've established that our modern lifestyles aren't exactly doing our mitochondria any favors. But let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about what we can do to turn things around. The book is called Optimized Metabolism, so I'm assuming it offers some solutions, right? How do we give these little guys the TLC they deserve?
Absolutely. The book is packed with practical strategies to optimize our mitochondria, and it really emphasizes the idea that we have the power to make a difference.
Okay, I am ready to take notes. Let's start with food. What should we be eating to keep our mitochondria happy?
Well, remember those healthy fats we were talking about? Turns out mitochondria love them. The book highlights the importance of omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon, for instance, or plant-based sources like flaxseed for maintaining healthy mitochondrial membranes.
I knew there was a reason I was so obsessed with avocado toast, But it's not all about fats, right?
Yeah.
What else does the book suggest?
Definitely not. The book delves into the crucial role of antioxidants in protecting our mitochondria from damage. And it even gets specific, like mentioning a study where supplementing with resveratrol, a potent antioxidant found in grapes and red wine, led to a measurable increase in mitochondrial efficiency in older adults.
Wow, so those colorful fruits and veggies aren't just good for our taste buds, they're actually shielding our cells from harm. That's a great visual. Are there any other nutrients that the book singles out as being particularly beneficial for mitochondrial health?
Absolutely. Coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10 for short. This one's a major player. The book explains how it plays a critical role in energy production within the mitochondria. And it even cites research suggesting that CoQ10 supplementation can improve mitochondrial function in people with certain health conditions.
Okay, that's CoQ10. Got it. Adding that to my shopping list. What else should we be looking for when we're planning our meals?
The book emphasizes the importance of B vitamins for energy metabolism, and it explains how these vitamins are essential for a whole cascade of reactions that help our mitochondria convert food into fuel. You can find B vitamins in a variety of foods like whole grains, leafy greens, and eggs.
All right, so healthy fats, antioxidants, CoQ10, B vitamins, that's quite the grocery list. But I have to ask about something that's been getting a lot of attention lately. The ketogenic diet. The book mentions it, right? Does it actually have an impact on our mitochondria?
It does. The book dives into the potential of the ketogenic diet to enhance mitochondrial function, and it explains how drastically reducing carbohydrate intake and increasing healthy fats forces the body to shift from burning glucose to ketones for fuel.
So instead of relying on sugar for energy, our bodies start burning fat. That sounds like a pretty significant change.
It is. And the book explains how this metabolic shift triggers something called mitochondrial biogenesis, which is basically the creation of new mitochondria. It also details how ketogenic diets upregulate PGC1 alpha, a key protein involved in mitochondrial growth and function.
Wow, so keto isn't just a weight loss fad, it's actually influencing how our cells function at a very fundamental level. That's pretty remarkable.
It is. However, the book is careful to point out that the long-term effects of the ketogenic diet are still being studied, and it's not necessarily suitable for everyone. Any major dietary changes should always be discussed with a healthcare professional.
That's good advice. It seems like there's always more to learn when it comes to nutrition and how it impacts our bodies. But speaking of impacting our bodies, I know the book also talks about exercise. What kind of workouts are we talking about here?
There are a few types of exercise that the book highlights as being particularly beneficial for our mitochondria. Let's start with high-intensity interval training, or HIIT.
I've heard of that. It's all about those short bursts of intense effort, right? But what makes it so good for our mitochondria?
The book explains that HIIT workouts create a unique stress on our cells, and that stress actually triggers mitochondrial adaptations. So those short bursts of intense exercise, followed by brief recovery periods, those stimulate mitochondrial growth and improve their efficiency in producing energy.
So it's not just about burning calories, it's about making my mitochondria stronger. I like that way of thinking about it. What other types of exercise does the book recommend?
Strength training is another powerful tool. The book cites studies showing that lifting weights not only builds muscle, it also boosts your metabolism. And it encourages those mitochondria to work harder. So it's not just about cardio, it's about challenging our muscles and giving those mitochondria a reason to grow and adapt.
So ditching those endless cardio sessions for some weightlifting is actually a good thing for my mitochondria. That's music to my ears. What about good old-fashioned cardio like running or swimming? Does that have any benefit?
Absolutely. The book emphasizes that aerobic exercise is fantastic for improving how well our mitochondria use oxygen for endurance. It discusses how regular cardio workouts can lead to adaptations in the electron transport chain, which is a complex process within mitochondria that's essential for energy production.
Okay, so we've got HIIT, strength training, and aerobic exercise. A well-rounded fitness plan for happy mitochondria. But let's be realistic. Working out is just one part of the equation. What about those of us who struggle with, unhealthy habits like late-night snacking or not getting enough sleep? How do those things factor into the equation?
You're right. Those everyday habits play a big role. And the book actually spends quite a bit of time discussing the importance of sleep for mitochondrial health. It explains that when we don't get enough quality sleep, our mitochondria don't have adequate time to repair and regenerate. And that leads to decreased function over time.
So it's not just about feeling rested, it's about giving our cells the downtime they need to function optimally. I'm starting to see how everything is connected.
Exactly. And the book dives into specific strategies for improving sleep quality, like establishing a consistent sleep schedule, reducing blue light exposure in the evenings, and creating a relaxing bedtime routine.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be honest, in today's world, it's kind of hard to escape that constant stimulation. I'm definitely guilty of scrolling through my phone right before bed. What does the book say about that?
The book highlights how blue light emitted from our electronic devices can disrupt melatonin production. And melatonin is a hormone that plays a key role in regulating our sleep-wake cycle. It recommends minimizing screen time in the hour or two before bed. That should allow for better melatonin production and more restful sleep.
All right, I'm putting my phone down after we finish recording, of course. Are there any other sleep tips from the book that you found particularly helpful?
One that stood out to me was the emphasis on creating a restful sleep environment. So the book explains how making sure your bedroom is dark, cool, and quiet can promote deeper, more restorative sleep, which is essential for those mitochondria to do their repair work.
Okay, I can definitely get on board with that. A little self-care goes a long way, right? But before we wrap up this section on sleep, I have to ask about something I recently read about. Red light therapy. Is there any truth to the claim that it can actually boost mitochondrial function?
That's a great question. And the book actually dedicates an entire chapter to exploring the potential benefits of red light therapy for mitochondrial health.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does that even work? Are we talking about those fancy red light panels I keep seeing on social media?
Exactly. The book explains how these panels emit specific wavelengths of red and near-infrared light that can penetrate the skin and reach our cells. And then it goes on to detail how this light interacts with a specific enzyme within our mitochondria called cytochrome C oxidase. And this enzyme plays a crucial role in energy production.
So basically, it's like giving our mitochondria a direct boost of energy? That's fascinating.
It is. And the book cites numerous studies that have shown promising results using red light therapy to enhance mitochondrial function. It discusses how this therapy has been shown to improve athletic performance, reduce muscle soreness, and even enhance cognitive function.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. But before I go and buy one of those red light panels, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when we're discussing health and well-being: stress management. We've already touched on how chronic stress can harm our mitochondria, but what are some practical ways to combat it? What does the book suggest?
You're right, stress management is crucial. And the book provides some concrete strategies for protecting our mitochondria from the damaging effects of stress. It starts with emphasizing the importance of incorporating relaxation techniques into our daily routines.
All right, give me the rundown. What works best?
The book specifically recommends meditation and deep breathing exercises. It explains how these practices help to reduce cortisol levels, that stress hormone we keep talking about. And it helps lower oxidative stress, which can damage those precious mitochondria. It even highlights a study that found regular meditation practice led to measurable improvements in mitochondrial function in participants.
So taking a few moments to breathe deeply can actually make a difference at a cellular level. I'm all for that. What else does the book suggest?
The book also emphasizes the power of spending time in nature. It cites research showing that exposure to natural environments can lower cortisol levels, reduce inflammation, and even enhance mitochondrial activity.
Nature. Really? I mean, I love a good hike, but how does that help my mitochondria?
It's fascinating. The book explores several possible explanations, including the calming effects of nature, reduced exposure to air pollution, and increased physical activity. It seems like stepping away from the hustle and bustle of city life and immersing ourselves in nature can have a profound impact on our overall well-being, right down to the cellular level.
So, getting out of the city and into the great outdoors is like a double win for our minds and our cells. I like the sound of that. Are there any other simple things we can do to de-stress and support our mitochondria?
The book highlights the importance of nurturing our social connections. It discusses how positive interactions with loved ones, whether it's spending quality time with family, catching up with friends, or even just having a meaningful conversation, can actually enhance mitochondrial efficiency.
So basically, good relationships are good for our cells. I knew there was a reason I loved hanging out with my friends. But before we move on, I have to ask about one more thing that's been on my mind: supplements. The book delves into those, right? Are any of them actually effective when it comes to supporting mitochondrial function?
They are. While the book emphasizes that a healthy diet and lifestyle are the foundation for mitochondrial health, it also explores how certain supplements can provide additional support.
Okay, I'm ready to take notes. Which supplements are we talking about?
The book starts by discussing NAD+ precursors like NMN and NR. It explains how these compounds can boost levels of NAD plus B, a crucial molecule involved in energy metabolism within the mitochondria. It even cites a study where supplementing with NMN led to significant improvements in mitochondrial function in older mice.
So they're like fuel for those tiny powerhouses. Fascinating. What else does the book recommend?
Another supplement the book highlights is L-carnitine. It explains how this compound helps transport fatty acids into the mitochondria where they can be burned for energy. The book even mentions that L-carnitine supplementation has been shown to improve exercise performance in some studies.
Okay, L-carnitine. Got it. What else should we be looking for?
Magnesium is another essential mineral that the book discusses. It explained how magnesium plays a vital role in ATP synthesis, the process by which our cells create energy. The book suggests that ensuring adequate magnesium intake can support mitochondrial efficiency and overall energy levels.
Magnesium. Doesn't that also help with sleep and relaxation? It seems like there are so many interconnected benefits.
Exactly. The book emphasizes how all of these factors work together to support our overall health and well-being. And finally, it discusses alpha-lipoic acid, or ALA. It's a powerful antioxidant that the book explains can protect mitochondria from damage and support their overall health.
Wow, that's quite a lineup of mitochondrial superstars. But before I run out and stock up on all of these supplements, I know you're going to say this, it's always best to talk to a healthcare professional before starting any new supplement regimen, right?
Absolutely. The book stresses that supplements should complement a healthy lifestyle, not replace it. And a healthcare professional can help you determine which supplements, if any, are right for you and guide you on the appropriate dosage.
Okay, that's great advice. This is all so fascinating. It's amazing how these tiny little mitochondria play such a huge role in our overall health and well-being. I feel like we've just scratched the surface, but we've covered a lot of ground in this first part. What can our listener look forward to as we continue to explore the world of mitochondria?
Well, in the next part, we'll delve even deeper into the benefits of having thriving mitochondria and discuss how to create a truly holistic approach to optimizing our metabolic health for long-lasting energy and vitality.
That sounds great. I can't wait to hear more about how we can unlock the incredible power of these tiny but mighty organelles. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of mitochondria.
Yeah, I'm excited to continue this journey with you. There's so much more to uncover.
Me too. Before the break, we were exploring specific strategies for supporting our mitochondria. And it's clear these tiny organelles play a much bigger role than I ever imagined. But honestly, my head is spinning a little bit with all this information. Maybe we can take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What's the real takeaway here? Why should we care so much about our mitochondria?
That's a fantastic question. The book really drives home the point that our mitochondria aren't just static energy producers. They're dynamic and incredibly responsive to the choices we make every single day. By understanding what impacts their function, we can take control of our energy levels. We can even influence our metabolism and impact how we age.
Okay, that puts things into perspective a little bit. It's not just about, feeling a bit more energized. It's about taking a proactive approach to our health. But let's break it down a bit further. What are some of the tangible benefits we can expect when our mitochondria are thriving?
Well, as you might expect, increased energy is a major one. The book explains that when your mitochondria are functioning optimally, they produce more ATP, which is the fuel that powers our cells. This translates to having more stamina for workouts, sharper mental focus, and just an overall feeling of vitality.
So no more afternoon slumps. Sign me up. What else can we expect when we start prioritizing mitochondrial health?
The book highlights the connection between healthy mitochondria and improved metabolic health. So when your mitochondria are in tip-top shape, your body becomes more efficient at burning fuel, whether it's glucose or fat. And this can be a game changer for weight management, keeping blood sugar levels stable, and even reducing the risk of developing chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes.
Oh, that's huge. We're not just talking about, feeling more energized. We're talking about potentially preventing serious health problems down the road. But what about aging? We know that mitochondrial function naturally declines as we get older. Is there anything we can actually do to slow down that process?
Absolutely. That's one of the most exciting areas of research that the book delves into. While we can't stop the clock entirely, we can definitely take steps to protect our mitochondria from age-related damage and, keep them functioning at their best for longer. The book refers to this as mitochondrial longevity.
So those age-defying secrets everyone's always chasing might actually be hidden inside our cells. Mind-blowing. But let's get practical here for a second. We've talked about a lot of different strategies for optimizing our mitochondria. Is there one that stands out as, like, particularly important, or is it all about taking a holistic approach?
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about creating a synergistic approach. It's about addressing multiple aspects of our lifestyle to create an environment where our mitochondria can thrive.
Mhm.
The book emphasizes that we need to both reduce the stressors on our mitochondria and provide them with the support they need to function at their peak.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that in a practical way? It seems like a lot to juggle.
It might seem overwhelming, but the book actually breaks it down into manageable steps. It starts with minimizing the things we know are harmful. So, for example, cutting back on processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats is a great starting point. Limiting exposure to environmental toxins as much as possible is another important step. And one of those powerful things we can do is manage our stress levels effectively.
So it's about making conscious choices to create an environment where our mitochondria can flourish. I can definitely get behind that. What about the support side of things? What are some of the most effective ways to nourish our mitochondria and help them function at their best?
Well, we've already talked about the power of a nutrient-rich diet. The book is full of specific recommendations, but it really boils down to this. Choose whole, unprocessed foods that are packed with antioxidants, healthy fats, and lean protein.
Oh,
And don't forget about those key nutrients we discussed earlier, like CoQ10 and B vitamins. Those are like little power-ups for your mitochondria.
right, those mitochondrial power-ups. It's amazing how specific nutrients can have such a targeted impact on our cells. But what about exercise? We know it's good for us in general, but how does it specifically benefit our mitochondria?
The book describes exercise as a form of mitochondrial training. It explains how physical activity, particularly those types we discussed earlier, like HIIT, strength training, and aerobic exercise, actually challenges our mitochondria to adapt and become more efficient. It's not just about burning calories or building muscle. It's about pushing our mitochondria to their limits so they can grow stronger and more resilient.
So the more we move, the more mitochondria we have and the more energy we can produce. That's a pretty motivating way to think about it. But what about those times when we're not working out? Is there anything we can do to support our mitochondria during those rest periods?
Absolutely. We can't underestimate the power of quality sleep when it comes to mitochondrial health. The book explains that during sleep, our cells, including those mitochondria, go into repair and regeneration mode. It's like giving our bodies a chance to recharge and rebuild, ensuring that our mitochondria are ready to power us through the next day.
So getting enough sleep is like sending our mitochondria to a spa for some rejuvenation. I like that analogy. And we know that reducing blue light exposure and creating a restful environment can really help improve sleep quality. What about fasting? We hear a lot about intermittent fasting these days. Does the book touch on that at all?
It does. Intermittent fasting has become incredibly popular, and the book explores its potential benefits for mitochondrial health. It explains how periodically abstaining from food can trigger a process called autophagy. And autophagy is essentially a cellular cleaning mechanism. During autophagy, damaged components within our cells, including those in our mitochondria, are broken down and recycled. It's like giving our cells a chance to declutter and get rid of anything that's no longer serving them.
So it's like hitting the reset button on our cells, giving them a chance to clean house and start fresh. That's fascinating. I can see why so many people are incorporating intermittent fasting into their routines. But before we get too carried away with all these amazing strategies, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about reducing stressors on our mitochondria. What are some other things beyond diet and exercise that we might not even be thinking about that could be putting a strain on these little powerhouses?
That's a great point. Sometimes it's the subtle things that we don't even realize are impacting our mitochondrial health. The book dedicates an entire chapter to exploring the link between chronic inflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction. It explains how chronic low-grade inflammation, often triggered by factors like poor diet, lack of exercise, chronic stress, and environmental toxins, can create a hostile environment for our mitochondria, hindering their ability to function optimally.
So it's not just about avoiding those obvious bad habits. It's also about addressing those underlying issues that might be silently stressing our mitochondria. That makes a lot of sense. What can we do to combat this chronic inflammation and create a more supportive environment for our cells?
Well, many of the strategies we've already discussed, like adopting a nutrient-rich diet, engaging in regular exercise, and managing stress effectively, can help to reduce inflammation. The book also highlights the importance of minimizing exposure to environmental toxins and ensuring adequate intake of certain nutrients that support a healthy inflammatory response. It's about taking a holistic approach, addressing multiple aspects of our lifestyle to create a truly thriving internal environment.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. It's all about creating this harmonious balance within our bodies, reducing stressors and providing our mitochondria with the tools they need to flourish. It's like we're creating a symphony of health where every instrument plays a vital role. But before we wrap up this fascinating discussion, I have one more question for you. We've talked a lot about the science behind mitochondria, but what about the practical application? How can we translate all of this knowledge into actionable steps to improve our daily lives?
That's a great question. And it's really where the rubber meets the road. The book does a great job of bridging the gap between scientific understanding and practical implementation. It provides a ton of specific tips and strategies that we can easily incorporate into our daily routines.
Okay, I'm all for simple and sustainable. Give me some examples. What are some easy things our listener can start doing today to make a difference in their mitochondrial health?
Let's start with something as simple as your morning routine. So instead of reaching for that sugary cereal or grabbing a pastry on the go, the book suggests opting for a breakfast that's packed with protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Think eggs with avocado, a smoothie with Greek yogurt and berries, or even just a handful of nuts and seeds. These types of breakfasts provide sustained energy and nourish your mitochondria from the moment you wake up.
Okay, that's a great starting point. I can definitely get behind that. What about during the day? Any tips for keeping our mitochondria happy while we're at work or running errands?
The book emphasizes the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. It explains how water is essential for all cellular processes, including those within our mitochondria. It recommends carrying a reusable water bottle and sipping on it consistently. And when those afternoon cravings hit, instead of reaching for processed snacks, the book suggests opting for whole nutrient-dense options like fruits, vegetables, a handful of nuts, or even a hard-boiled egg. These snacks provide sustained energy and nourish your mitochondria without causing those energy crashes that processed foods often trigger.
Those are great reminders. I know I'm definitely guilty of making less than ideal choices when I'm feeling stressed or rushed, but it sounds like even small changes, like opting for a piece of fruit instead of a candy bar, can make a big difference. What about exercise? How can we make sure we're getting enough movement to really benefit our mitochondria?
Well, the book emphasizes that finding activities you genuinely enjoy is key to creating a sustainable exercise routine. And it doesn't have to be anything strenuous or time-consuming. A brisk walk in the park, a bike ride with friends, a dance class, or even just taking the stairs instead of the elevator can all contribute to better mitochondrial health. The key is to move your body regularly and find ways to make movement a joyful part of your life.
Okay, that sounds doable. It's about finding those little pockets of movement throughout our day and making them a habit. I love that approach. What about in the evenings? Any tips for winding down and preparing our mitochondria for a good night's sleep?
The book provides some fantastic strategies for creating a relaxing evening routine that supports both our mental and mitochondrial health. It recommends dimming the lights an hour or two before bed to signal to our bodies that it's time to wind down. This helps to stimulate melatonin production, which is essential for regulating our sleep-wake cycle. It also suggests avoiding screen time during this period, as the blue light emitted from our devices can interfere with melatonin production. Instead, the book recommends engaging in calming activities like reading a book, taking a warm bath, listening to relaxing music, or spending time connecting with loved ones.
Great suggestions. It sounds like creating a soothing bedtime ritual is not only beneficial for our minds, but also for those hardworking mitochondria. It's about creating a sense of peace and tranquility, both internally and externally. But before we wrap up this episode, I want to touch on one last thing. Mindset. We've talked a lot about the physical steps we can take to optimize our mitochondria, but what about the mental and emotional aspects? Does our mindset play a role in all of this?
Absolutely. The book dedicates an entire chapter to exploring the interconnectedness of our physical, mental, and emotional health. It explains that when we're feeling stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, our bodies release cortisol, that stress hormone we keep talking about. And as we know, chronic stress and elevated cortisol levels can be detrimental to our mitochondria. On the other hand, when we cultivate a positive mindset, practice gratitude, and find healthy ways to manage stress, we create a more supportive environment for our cells to thrive. It's about recognizing that our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs have a direct impact on our physical well-being, right down to the cellular level.
So it's not just about what we're doing, it's also about how we're being. It's about nurturing all aspects of ourselves to create a truly holistic state of well-being.
That's a powerful message. I feel like this conversation has given me so much to think about and so many practical strategies to implement. But we've covered a lot of ground, and I know our listener is eager to hear how we can put all of this into practice. What can they look forward to in the final part of our deep dive? Well, in the final part, we'll bring it all together. We'll distill the key takeaways from optimized metabolism and leave our listener with some actionable steps they can take to start optimizing their mitochondrial health today.
That sounds great. I'm excited to wrap up this incredible journey into the world of mitochondria and empower our listener to take control of their metabolic health and unlock their full potential for energy, vitality, and longevity. Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's amazing how much we've uncovered about these tiny powerhouses, isn't it?
It really is. You know, we've explored the science, we've delved into the strategies, and now it's time to bring it all together. We've been deep diving into Optimized Metabolism, a guide to enhancing mitochondrial function. And I have to say, this book has completely changed how I think about my health.
I agree. It's given us a whole new perspective on what it means to optimize our well-being.
So let's do like a final recap here. What are the key takeaways our listeners should walk away with today?
First and foremost, I think it's empowering to realize that we have more control over our mitochondrial health than we might think. You know, these tiny organelles are incredibly responsive to the choices we make every day. And this goes for everything, from the foods we eat to the amount of sleep we get.
Right. It's not about genetics or fate or anything like that. It's about taking ownership of our health destiny. And it's never too late to start making changes. But let's get practical. What's like the first step our listener can take to start optimizing their mitochondrial health today?
Well, the book, it repeatedly emphasizes that what we eat has a profound impact on our mitochondria. It's not just about counting calories or following the latest fad diet. It's about nourishing our cells with the nutrients they need to thrive.
Okay, that makes sense. But with so much like conflicting nutrition advice out there, it can be hard to know where to start. What specific dietary changes does the book recommend?
It really kind of boils down to this. Choosing whole, unprocessed foods as often as possible. Think vibrant fruits and vegetables packed with antioxidants. Healthy fats like those found in avocados, olive oil, and nuts, and lean protein sources. The book even suggests incorporating specific spices, like turmeric and ginger, for example, which have been shown to have anti-inflammatory properties that can benefit our mitochondria.
So ditch the processed junk, embrace those colorful, nutrient-dense foods, and spice things up a bit. Got it. What's next on our mitochondrial to-do list?
Get moving. The book highlights the power of exercise, not only to challenge our muscles, but also to stimulate mitochondrial growth and efficiency. And it doesn't have to be anything extreme. Finding activities you enjoy and making them a regular part of your routine is key.
Right. It's not about punishing ourselves at the gym. It's about finding joyful movement that energizes our bodies and minds. Whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or simply taking a walk in nature, every bit of movement counts. What else should we be prioritizing when it comes to mitochondrial health?
Sleep. The book dedicates an entire chapter to the importance of quality sleep for mitochondrial repair and regeneration. It emphasizes creating a relaxing bedtime routine, dimming the lights in the evenings, and avoiding screen time before bed. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep each night.
Okay, I'm starting to picture my ideal evening. A warm bath, a good book, some soothing music to lull me to sleep. But what about those of us who struggle with stress? We've talked about how detrimental chronic stress can be to our mitochondria. What are some practical strategies for managing stress and protecting those precious energy producers?
Well, the book offers a whole toolkit of stress-busting techniques. Meditation and deep breathing exercises are highlighted as powerful tools for calming the nervous system and reducing cortisol levels. Spending time in nature is also emphasized, as is nurturing social connections and engaging in activities that bring us joy.
So it's about finding what works for you. Whether it's a quiet moment of meditation, a walk in the woods, or a good laugh with friends, it's about making self-care a priority, not a luxury.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be days when you make choices that aren't ideal for your mitochondria. And that's okay. The key is to approach it with a mindset of progress, not perfection. Celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks, and keep moving forward.
I love that. Progress, not perfection. It takes the pressure off and allows us to focus on making sustainable changes that we can stick with for the long haul. This entire conversation has been so insightful. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how to optimize my health from the inside out.
Me too. It's been a pleasure diving deep with you and exploring the fascinating world of mitochondria.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey. We hope this deep dive into optimized metabolism has empowered you to take control of your mitochondrial health and unlock your full potential for energy, vitality, and longevity.
And remember, every choice you make is a vote for the future of your health. Choose wisely and keep those mitochondria happy.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep thriving.